Hello, and welcome. You're welcome to episode 45 of the Football Fanatic podcast. Dan Coulter here, your host this week. We have no Declan O'Connor. It might have something to do with the 115 pending charges. I heard he was having a dinner and maybe a few tea and crumpets with Lord Panic himself this evening. So we have no deck, which means that we're going to all jump on and maybe give him a bit of abuse as to why he isn't here with the biggest court case to ever hit the sport, or any sport in general. So, Declan, wherever you are, please come back to us soon because the abuse won't be the same without actually having you on screen. I am, as always, joined by Massey and Howard, and we have the mighty Lenny, Andrew Lennon, who has joined us, a big Leeds fan who was on last year on the pod, who is back to tell us all about the woes, trials, and tribulations of Leeds United. Gentlemen, how are we?
All good, Dan. Dan,
Oh,
you're
good,
good.
Dan, yeah.
You're filling in big boots to fill in now here.
Big boots, and I'm sure I will sink into them nicely.
Deku.
Too. Just a big shout out to everybody who's been following the pod. We have over 900 actually subscribers to our YouTube channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please do take the time and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook and X, Twitter and all that jazz. So, gentlemen, we're going to start off here with our weekend review. So there was a lot to get our teeth into. So we're going to start with the London Derby. For me, it felt like a Mourinho-esque performance from the mighty Gunners. But we might leave Howard's take the last. We might start there with you, Massey. What did you make of the game? Anything stand out for you? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, look, it's been a very typical Spurs performance out here, I thought. Since the start of the season, they've had a lot of the ball to create. Well, they should have really, supposed, created more chances with the possession that they had, but Arsenal were very efficient. There was nothing going through that defence. It just looked rock solid. And again, Spurs' frailties, a set piece combined with Arsenal's strength, just that was what won it in the end. And look, I think Arsenal deserved it. They were very workmanlike performance, very efficient. Kind of what you'd expect for a team that, or would link associate with a team that are going to push for the top of the table.
Okay, and what about you, Lenny? You get to see
Yeah,
it?
I thought it was a good sort of a statement win for Arsenal. I know this is their third go of this title push now, and you often wonder, like after every season, have they still got it in them? You know, it's a hard out slog, these title charges, especially when you don't win them. And yeah, they were quite depleted as well on Sunday and away from home, so everything was going to conspire against them. But yeah, they scraped the win and got out of White Hart Lane with 3 points. So yeah, it's I suppose a good.
Lenny's delighted. His favorite manager got 3 points there. Lenny's a massive Arteta fan. Did you hear that, Dan? He's like his
Yeah,
number one
I
fan.
just
Can I just on that? I suppose he's been given a new contract before the game there at the weekend. They've given him a new deal. Found it a small bit strange considering, I would have thought there might be questions asked if they don't win something this season. But Lenny, what did you make of that? What's your feelings on Mikel?
Yeah, I personally don't like him. He's probably my least favorite manager in the
I
league.
got the picked up wrong, so sorry.
I think we've gone over this before when I was on last year, but like yeah, here can't deny he's doing a decent job with them, and he's just like a pound shop Pep, I think. But he's
Oh, shut
obviously as near he's obviously as near as the real thing now, especially now they've got a bit of a team together. So as for his antics, though, he's really drives me up
Yeah,
the
he's
wall.
frustrating, isn't he?
Yeah, and like I don't mind Arsenal as a club. I think their supporters and that are all right generally, but this fella just he's a petulant brat. Like that's all he is really. But yeah, I hope
You're like Keezy. You're like Keezy, Lenny. Richard Keys.
that's
You and
it.
him, you and Richard Keys go off to an island now and you be going on and on about Arteta. You get on great, the two of you.
Do you
That's it.
think though he
Yeah,
should have got the contracts? Do you think that what
Ah,
would be? Yeah.
yeah. I think yeah, definitely. Like that's probably been in negotiation, could be for the last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and obviously there it's I know they haven't won anything of note, but from Arteta's side, he obviously wants his slice of the pie. But it's probably a case of Arsenal probably protecting their asset in a sense as well. There's probably
Yeah.
say I don't know there's obviously talk of Pep's future and that, and maybe Man City will turn.
Yeah.
Instead of just picking up the phone and poaching him, there could be some compensation and the likes. So if someone does decide to pounce for him, Arsenal get a bit out of it as well. So yeah,
fair.
but as we all know, like contracts for managers, I mean, fuck all. Like, you have 5 bad results and you're out the door. Like,
Yeah. Well, so just on the game, I would have thrown a message into our WhatsApp group there that I thought it was the best chance Spurs have probably had in the last while, considering the few big players that Arsenal were missing, and Spurs being at home. I thought was their best chance. But I also put in a little side note saying that they'll probably find a way to fuck it up. And I thought that they played, I thought, decent enough football until they got to Arsenal's box, and they just had no cutting edge, no ideas as to how they were actually going to get a goal. I thought some of the football was decent at times, but Arsenal, in fairness to them, they kind of dug in, and once they went 1-0 up, I haven't seen a game be killed off like that. I think in quite a while, where I was taken aback as to how much they were able to just nullify Spurs after they went 1-0 up. It was amazing. It just goes to show you how good they are defensively. So, Howard, give us your thoughts. I'm sure you were happy, once I know you were nervous.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a bit nervy, and comes back, I suppose, to the Odegaard injury, and you can't be a one-man band. But I just remember the game against Aston Villa last year that Arsenal lost, and Odegaard picked up something in the first half, at the end of the first half, and like Aston Villa just destroyed us in the second half in the Emirates, and like I put that down to Odegaard. Obviously, he couldn't run around as much as he would, and his integral part of pressing and all that was gone, and then we subbed him off and we lost the game like 2-0. So I think that was my kind of big worry. Can we get someone in there, or can we have a system in there that will survive without him? And we did it pretty efficiently. I thought, like, defensively, obviously, as Monty said, we were really, really sound. Like, if you look at that defense, like, you know, Ben White. Well, first of all, Reyes started the season brilliantly. Then you have Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and now Timber has come into it. Like, so
He
Timber
looks
is
good, doesn't he? He's so
Timber's
good with the
another
ball.
machine, like, just like you shall not pass kind of lad in the back line. So you have that's like already you have a serious back forward there. And I thought Partey would have to have a good game to get something out of the game, but to be honest, I didn't think he was great. So Jorginho was doing his bits and pieces, but look, it as I said to you, it was during the game, it was the pressing that we had from the front really, really put it against them. Like, they had Trossard and Havertz both playing in the 9, kind of. There were no one was really up front. The two of them were kind of attacking midfielders, and then you had Saka and Martinelli. And like, I know I texted you afterwards, Dan, about Havertz. Like, I'm just amazed about how good of a player he is. Like, in regards to, like, not like smashing the ball in the back of the net, but what he
The
does
dirty
and gives to
work.
the team,
Yeah.
like, it's just insane. Like, as I was saying to you, it was like watching the stream I was watching. It was like, I'm like literally 2 minutes behind on it. So anytime Spurs got a corner, I was like, oh, don't want to watch this corner. So, well, like watching corner, but like flicking live score commentary to see if fucking Spurs end up like putting it in from a corner. And like every time I flicked it down, I was like, ball, Kai Havertz heads the ball away. Kai Havertz, relieves the pressure. I was like, jeez, he's just got his head on everything. He's an absolute workhorse. And I don't think people kind of realize how much he does for the team, and his movement even off the ball to press is just like, it's top notch. And you got to give your take your hat off to Arteta for seeing that before getting him in from Chelsea, because obviously, people saw spending 65 million on Kai Havertz. There were people who were scratching their heads at the time, but he is turning it. Like, I can't imagine the team at the moment without him in it, because he is an integral part of it. Like,
Do you
so
think though? Do you
yeah.
think though that he wasn't really wasn't I think he kind of found himself in that position though, didn't he? He wasn't bought to play, I think, up
Yeah,
top originally, wasn't he?
no, he wasn't. He was probably bought to play in the 8, but I don't think his progression of the ball, like his passing technically, like through lines and stuff, is good enough for maybe that position. So, but his work ethic in that position is definitely what they need. Now they've put him up front. He's such a threat from crosses. Like, literally, anytime Ray gets the ball, like, instead of having to pass it to Saliba, there's an out ball there for him straight away, and he
Hmm.
wins majority of his
He
headers.
does,
Like,
yeah. He's a
he's
handful.
he's an absolute handful. So, but look, overall, delighted. I like very professional performance, and we were talking about Arteta, giving Arteta the contract. Like, it's it's the reason like that we gave him the contract, like turning the team into a winning team, and a team that, like, okay, but like Spurs, you just just like when it was 0-0 at 50, 60 minutes, there was a feeling that Arsenal were going to nick one. There was just like, as Gary Neville said on commentary, he was looking at it and he was like, he said before the corner was taken, he just like the fans were going crazy in the corner there. He's just like he felt like the fans knew there was going to be a goal from the corner, and he said it like, and it turned out to be the case. And it's just very Spursy thing, and Arsenal have gone away from that, idea of not grinding out a result when they haven't been at their best or attacking fluidity. You know what I mean? So brilliant, look, brilliant result. I suppose the big key point in the first half was the Urian Timber shenanigans, but like people were losing their rag over that, and I was like, what is like they were like trying to manipulate some sort of storyline there.
If his foot hadn't stopped on the ball, yeah, he was in trouble.
Yeah,
but it did,
yeah,
like, so
it did. Like, and they were
it felt
saying
like they were just
yeah,
searching for
I know,
something,
even
like.
in the Sky Sports, like the punditry, you just have to laugh at sometimes. Like you have Jamie Redknapp there and Merson. God, Merson, he never says anything good about Arsenal. He's supposed to be an Arsenal. He supports Chelsea on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
He's there. He was like, oh, very lucky. Like he nearly, if he caught him, like he's very lucky to get away with a red card. But like he didn't catch him. He like you're talking hypothetically like he was about to catch him, but he didn't catch him, and it should be he's lucky not to get a red card. Like it's like what sort of dreamland are we living in that we think it could be a red card based on he maybe nearly got him?
Yeah, and
I think just
go on,
Dan, I'll just pop in for a second. You're on about Arteta and his contract. So I think what Howard is hinted at there is the grit and the culture of winning that Arteta has managed to develop. And you saw Gabriel and Saliba celebrate defending and clearing the ball almost as much as they did scoring a goal. And that aggression and the culture that he has developed, whatever about his antics in the sideline, is the ferocity that he shows in the sideline is reflected in his team. I think that cultural switch that Ange is currently trying to overcome at Spurs is really where I think the most impressive thing about Arteta, and
it's a very good point, Mossy. And like
that's indispensable.
Yeah,
to
that's
that
what's
team.
made him the manager. That like he first came in, he says, "I need to change the culture of this club." Like that was the very first thing he said. But like anyone who goes into a big club like that will say that. But the question is, how do you do it? And the answer is you have to be you have to be pickpocketer. No, you have to have charisma. Players have to believe what you're saying, but you also have to back up what you're saying to the players. So if you tell them to do something and they benefit out of it, like you say, run to the byline and cut it back to who comes on running in, and it happens in a match, they're like, oh my God, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. And then so there's a combination of being charismatic and getting the players believing, but actually showing the players how if you follow him, this is what's going to happen. And it's the combination of them two things, I think, that's really brought the players on and kind of given, like, you kind of feel like if anyone's like Sterling, like if anyone signs for Arsenal now, you have a feeling, like when Klopp got them, you have a feeling that they're going to turn into a good player. Like, do you know what I mean?
I think a couple things that probably stand out for me during his tenure, and even just as I was thinking back to Arsenal teams, like they were kind of a bit flaky. You could get at them if you were aggressive on top of them. You could break them basically on the field. So there's definitely I think a shift in the physicality and the mentality, and then I think on top of that as well, they've bought an awful lot of shy players over the last number of years.
Oh, terrible!
And since Arteta has come in, the ones that they're bringing in, the majority of them have worked out. And what he did with Aubameyang, I think, there in the early days,
helped.
I think as well helped him kind of set that marker. So I
suppose even in terms of Ramsdale is the perfect example of that. They were like, we brought him in, he makes us better, but does he make us good enough? No, let's get rid of him again. That cutthroat nature of the way he's managed it, he's accepted that maybe Ramsdale wasn't the perfect choice, but he did improve them at the time. But he still is not good enough for what we want, so we get rid of him. I think that kind of that's a great example of how he's cutthroat managed the team to be, I'm in charge and we work hard and we are not losing, and that aggression is seen across nearly every Arsenal performance.
So just finishing up on Arsenal, because I know we've lots to get through. So big game next Sunday. They go to the Etihad. It would have been interesting if Arsenal didn't come away with the win as to what way things would look going into that game, but they obviously look a lot more positive now. Just two questions for you, I suppose. How you feel that game is going to go? What sort of result would you take? And also, what's the update on? Is there any updates on Odegaard and Saka, and what's their situation?
So the first thing is, I would say, is the Brighton game really hurt. Like when it happened as well, it really was the one that was like, God, we got a draw, but like with the fixtures coming up, we really wanted 3 points. And I think the manner that we drew that game, you really had to beat Spurs there. Like it was a very important game in the grand scheme of things. So coming on to Sunday, we have obviously Atlanta to play in the Champions League, which is some reason on a Thursday. I don't know if you know that.
That's right, yeah.
So we're playing Atlanta on Thursday.
Who are decent.
Who are decent.
Yeah.
Now, I would happily rest. I think the City game takes precedence over that, and I'd happily rest, half the team to get a good team out in front of City. In regards to Odegaard and Saka, apparently has cramp. It was cramp, so he should be okay. And Odegaard, look, I can't see Odegaard back until the next international break, if I'm being honest. So
what are they saying it is though? Because they're not really saying.
They haven't said. I'd say just like people are just going by him being on crutches and stuff like that. So I'd say it's probably a month or a month and a half. If at best, I would guess. Like Arteta likes keeping his cards close to his chest. But look, on that game then, the City game, obviously I would bite your hand off for a draw right now, to be honest. If we were to beat Villa away, beat Spurs away, and draw against City, and we're still not close to full strength yet, I would be happy with that. A loss, like I don't think that would like City go 5 points ahead of us. I don't think it's the end of the world at this stage. I think that means we definitely have to beat them in the Emirates. Look, City could run away with over 100 points this season at the way they're going at the moment. Like you just don't know what they're surely going to hit a blip. But if Haaland keeps going like he's going, there's no, like, even if we beat them, it's like they're just a bit of a machine at the moment.
The scary thing is that they usually kind of start slowly. Usually. So usually they start slow for Christmas, and it's just the way they have started this season, and with the way Haaland in particular. I think he has more goals than any other Premier League team has scored yet. In the opening 4 games, he has more goals. So so what were you saying? You'd take?
I take a draw. I take a draw. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think a draw would be a great result in the Etihad.
Cool. Okay, we might just move on then. So Man United have stopped the rot. So we'll go to our main man here, Mossy. My feeling on the game was once it was that the instance or moments change games, and I thought once the penalty was missed by Southampton and then United got their goal, I thought once they went ahead, you could see the confidence in Man United's players, and they started to play a bit, and they, again, second half, I thought, completely dominated it. What do you make of it, Mossy? I'm sure you're happy man to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, I know. I'd be similar enough kind of a take on it. And we started very poorly. Southampton, they've more possession in the league than any other team, in more than City. So they're good at keeping the ball. And for the first 20, 30 minutes, they kept the ball, and we looked all over the shop. And the young fella Dipling on the wing for Southampton making his debut at 18, and he ran Dallo ragged in the first half an hour, and eventually that's where the penalty came from. I thought, look, it was great for us, but I don't understand what was going on with Southampton in the penalty. Diaz is usually their penalty taker, and he's 7 for 7 or 8 for 8 in his penalties, and they gave it to Cameron Archer. Don't understand, he's never retaken before, but I was delighted because
it nervous,
led to an honest save. Yeah, he did look nervous, and there was an awful lot of delay. To be fair to the United game, usually I think they're soft about things like that, but there's a bit of gamemanship going on. It was delayed a couple of times with players getting this and that and other, which, I kind of like fair play. I would like to see a bit of that. And it was a great save from Onana. I'm not his biggest fan, but credit where credit's due. It was a good save, and it turned the game. And from after that, then it couldn't really gone much better for us. We got 3 goals. I think Xerxes scoring would have been the icing on the cake, but like Rashford got a goal and carried himself differently for the rest of that game. Could have got another. Like there was a bit more confidence and a bit more pep and step. Delete after his terrible international break was exactly the type of response, man of the match response to the goal. And then rounded off, Gallagher comes off the bench, finish it, and there could have been more. They could completely control the second half. You would worry about Southampton in the way that they completely capitulated and looked like a beaten team once we scored especially got second, they
There's a
offered
lot of
nothing,
Burnley
no
in them,
shots.
isn't there? Kind of like where they're trying to play good
I
football
thought
and
they
it
were
looks
very
good.
bad. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought, like they couldn't. Like after the first 30 minutes, once United scored, they couldn't actually put a couple of passes together. Like they
no.
were like.
But like, I suppose it's hard. Like, you are gone from a league where you're competitive in your top 6 or 7 all year to just getting whipped every week. Like, it is hard to adjust to that. And Russell Martin, I suppose, seems to be getting more and more frustrated in his post-match interview and stuff. So maybe that's rubbing off the players. I don't know. But look, the red card, I suppose, I thought it was high. Studs are high. It wasn't a horrendous tackle, but it probably was a red card. And look, it wasn't the game where United. It was what United needed, and Southampton probably aren't going to target those games as their ones for the points. So it was everything we needed after bad results, a bad start, and we'll just see where it goes from there.
Yeah, cool. And just I might Lenny bring you in there because I know you're a man that has a lot of disdain, I'm sure, for Southampton, based on last season. But just in general, with the 3 clubs that came up, you would have seen a lot of them last season.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on the start for them, and like in particular there at Southampton? I think Russell Martin, that's the way he played in the championship all last year. It was that kind of possession-based style. But what do you reckon? Is there a plan B for Southampton? Are they looking trouble already?
Yeah, I think we're into just midway point of September, and they're already nearly apart from Everton, who are their own special case, they're the Premier League whipping boys. Yeah, you wouldn't hold much hope for them, especially with Russell Martin kind of doing a company on it like Burnley last year and sticking to his philosophy. And a lot of people criticise company last year for it, and he did all right out of it in the end. He fucked off to Bayern
He did better than all right, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he got a job at one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Is this what we're kind of at now? Where young up and coming managers, they're putting themselves in the shop window saying, "Look, I can play this way with a load of championship cloggers. If give me a decent squad, I can do the same, but actually get results." So maybe is that what's going to happen from now on? But yeah, I think I wouldn't see him changing his ways. The managers these days are becoming more and more on about philosophies and this sort of thing, and have egos and the like. So they're not likely going to roll.
Gone, is he?
We'll have to cut Lenny's parts. That's it, chopped.
That was Russell Martin just there hacking the system. Anyway, he may
yeah.
He's still there.
Sorry, Lenny, we lost you there.
You lost there for a second, Lenny. Russell Martin must have got in there in there.
Yeah. Mustn't have liked what I was saying. But I was up window. But I don't think he's going to change his ways at all this season, unless Southampton decide to change him. As for the other promoted teams, I think Leicester could survive. Ipswich, it's hit and miss really. I think they're again playing their own exciting brand of football under what's his name?
McKenna.
Yeah. And again, he's similar, this up and coming manager as well. So I think Ipswich probably the squad. They didn't really, they didn't blow a bit of money on some new players, but I just think it might be a bridge
Spent
too
100
far.
million, haven't they? Yeah, they spent a good
Yeah, I
bit.
know they did. Yeah, they spent a good bit, but I think back-to-back promotions from League One and everything else that goes where it's more than just spending on a squad, and it's all about the kind of whole club as such. But yeah, I think it's a sign of just the Premier League becoming the mammoth it is versus the rest of the Football League, that the 3 teams that got promoted last year went straight down, and you'd probably be betting on those 3 clubs that came up, the 3 teams that came up the season before last went straight down last year, and now the 3 newly promoted teams this year are most likely to go down. So I think that's just shown the widening gulf between the Premier League and the Championship, and just how more difficult it is. Even Ipswich spend 100 million on a few players, it's still going to be a massive uphill task. the only saving grace might be Everton with their dire problems on and off the field. So
I think there's a couple of, I think like Wolves as well, they've sold a lot, haven't really brought a lot in. I don't know, I had a feeling at the start of the season that the three that came up actually had a decent chance of staying up. And I think the Hampton are probably the one that I would be concerned about.
Yeah,
Vardy is
were very bad.
Yeah, Vardy's shipping in. Leicester seem to have a few decent players, and then McKenna, suppose reputation, but also like have picked up a couple of points. Like getting the point away at Brighton, I think it was a great result for them.
Was a decent point,
But so look, time will tell on the teams. We might just move on then to my beloved club. One team that weren't cooking at the weekend, they were very undercooked, were Liverpool. Could have been nearly the worst game that they played, I'd say, since maybe the time the Leeds came to Anfield a couple of years ago there and bet us. Actually, they were very bad. It did have that feel of a game after an international break, but it's still no excuse for how poor they were. It literally was chalk and cheese for the opening three games. So I think it's a reality check for Slot and for Liverpool. With how well that they had started, they probably started too well. Like that sort of performance nearly would have been what I would have expected us to be more disjointed and kind of trying to find our feet, but they never ever really looked like getting into the game. And I have to say, Nuno, I think they put him up as the first manager to get the job, but I have to give him his dues. I think he really managed that game so well at the weekend. And once Liverpool were running out of ideas, he got Hudson-Odoi and Elanga on, and Liverpool went and they switched Trent into midfield and put Bradley at right back, and he got destroyed. And Bradley has been so good since he came in, but I thought that Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, the two of them they caused serious damage when they came on, and Liverpool completely ran out of ideas. And I think the substitutions that they brought on, like Liverpool, an awful lot of them players they're bringing on, like they've got no minutes really at all, really, because Slot played the same team each week, and you could see it in them when they come on. They had no impact. They looked very rusty. Obviously, over the next couple of weeks, there's a lot more games for them to kind of get up to match speed, but like the players that come on had no impact. Liverpool got much worse.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of old thing, I think, that under Klopp he struggled with the low block. And I think that was evident in the game where just Liverpool kind of they ran out of ideas quite quickly, I thought.
But Dan, can you see the change in style? Like, is it very obvious, like when you're looking at the team versus what you saw them last year? Like, what's the difference? I know it's possession, more possession. Is that the thing?
Yeah, I think like there is definitely they're a bit slower. It's like they will take an extra pass. It'll be interesting to see over time how that goes with I suppose trying to kill teams off. I suppose like that kind of it's like kind of more of the City kind of element of holding onto the ball
bit
more.
safer.
Bit safer. But to be honest with you, it wasn't the case. I didn't think as much. There was a lot more of the kind of frantic and desperation is what it actually was, where they were starting to ping balls. Trent was trying to ping passes, Sebastian, and literally nothing was coming off. Like they just completely, especially once they were 1-0 down, you still feel at Anfield that Liverpool are going to come back into it here. But it looked like at no point at all during that last 15-20 minutes they looked like they didn't get. I don't even think they had a shot. They might have had one. That's like
it was a strange decision, Dan. Or what was your take on bringing Bradley on and bringing Trent into midfield when Trent has been playing right back and seems to have established in everyone's point of view internationally and at club that's his best position. But then tinker with him and bring him into midfield seemed like a strange decision, I thought.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things. So I think McAllister there was talk of him carrying an injury. So he was taken off, if I remember correctly. They moved kind of Trent. It could have been small but tactical, but also try to manage maybe a bit there as well. But to be honest with you, like he in particular he got much worse once he moved into midfield.
Did he? Yeah. Can he play like it's like Zinchenko? Like Zinchenko plays midfield for Ukraine. Yeah. Like can Trent play in midfield? Because I know he's a great passer, but that doesn't mean you're gonna fit into a center mid role.
It's a completely different game, Howard. Position. Yeah. Like he's used to playing the game with the ball, the game in front of him, whereas like he's
diagonals.
Whereas he's receiving it, and and it's completely different situation. And I think it's unfair to him to play into him there, but I don't know. I just thought it was a weird decision to make.
Yeah, there was a few kind of weird decisions because he kind of changed by moving Trent in. He moved Bradley to right back. But there was kind of a couple of changes then. Like he went Nunez up top. I think at that stage of the game, nearly would have been better off to have gone two up top. because nothing was working the way it was. He brought Nunes on, put Gapco on the left, and then Nunes just kept drifting off the left. So there was actually nobody occupying forwards and centre halves at all. The question on him, I suppose he had such a good start to the season, arguably one of the best players in the league in the opening 3 games. And then went on for England there in the international break and seemed to have done really well as well. There was a lot of talk about his performances there. So, like, my thing on him would be playing him in midfield. Like, his range of passing is second to none. Like, it's unbelievable. But like, when you're playing against a low block where there's a team that are going to sit back literally on their own edge of their own box, you know, he's great at kind of getting the ball out quickly to him, spray it in behind, get Salah that in behind. But it kind of, I don't think he impacts the game as much. I definitely hasn't. There's nothing to back up that he has had a wow game where you're like, Jesus, he could play centre midfield. I'm not saying that he can't, but in any times that we kind of put him in there, there's not been too many where you're like, wow, that's now he's making that position his own or anything like that. But look, anyway, just to finish on them, I think like it was a reality check. I think that I'd expect changes now away at AC Milan. I think he needs to get other players into the team and try and get them up to speed. In particular, I think Gapco, Nunes, Jones as well, who came on. That they need to get because them players kind of in. I think and get minutes under the belt for them. So like Milan's not going to be an easy game in midweek. But thankfully, like I suppose once you've lost a game like that, you kind of want to get back out and try and rectify the wrongs. The fact there's a game so quickly for them might be a good thing. But it was very, very surprising. But Liverpool actually from in particular, where for whatever reason, and it's not an excuse, but always seem to be really lackluster after an international break. They have a lot of players that go, but so do other clubs that go away as well. So like it's not an excuse, but it does seem to be. Like when you were watching them at times, it was like.
Well, they're a very energy-based team, aren't they? Like they get a lot of energy from the crowd and stuff like that. So like it's probably it's every game that's playing is probably maybe nearly more draining than in other teams because they're living off that energy in Anfield. So maybe there's a level of that of trying to get that going after the international break or something.
I think credit needs to be given to Forest because they blocked up the middle. Like you saw that Liverpool in the previous 3 games like to play kind of more through the middle than down the wings. Blocked it up. There was nothing going through, and he brought changes on a really good time. And it was a beautiful, sumptuous finish by Hudson Odoi. Like, and like you would have said, like Liverpool had missed a few chances to hit the post with Diaz and stuff, but you would have said that like they were worth their win. Like it was an impressive. And it was their first win in Anfield since the man was on the moon in 1969 or something. So, like, fair play.
No, definitely. I think it was tactics were spot on, and that is the way. Like again, Liverpool will have to find a way to try when that low block comes, which will come several times throughout this season, to find ways of getting through it. And they really ran out of ideas far too quickly for my liking, and I'd say for Slott's liking. So, look, it will be. I think it'll be a bit topsy turvy, to be honest. Though I think. You could see it in that performance that that there will be kind of up and down. I still think, as I said, at the start of the season, people were talking already about the Liverpool in the title race, but very, very early days, and you could see there as well that once 1 or 2 players come out of the team, even what they were bringing off the bench, and everyone talks about Liverpool's bench being very strong, but when you actually look at, say, Elliott is out injured now for a couple of months. When you look at, say, in the midfield area, he wants to change it. You're looking at the likes of Endo coming on, Jones coming on. You know what I mean? It's not in that midfield area in particular, which is supposed to be the engine and the creative force for the attacking players. There's not too many when like McAllister or Szoboszlai, when you take them out, the quality drop is big enough, I think. So anyway, that's my take, and very disappointed, but that is the way it goes. And on to the next one. Isn't that it?
Yeah, you'll survive.
I suppose just before then we move on to our question that we have for this week. Was there anything else that caught your eye at the weekend? I thought for me, just the Duran and Barnes moments in the 2 games were quality. But was there anything else that stood out for any of you?
Calvert-Lewin missing a half of the chances. I suppose that was
in general.
I thought the Ipswich result was very notable. Their defence was unbelievable, and they nearly scored. Liam Delap, isn't it? Roy Delap's son. His pace was something unbelievable. Broke from the inside their own box, around the whole pitch, and hit the post. It was like old school, and Omari Hutchinson said something similar. So I thought it was a great result and point for Ipswich.
You're a hidden Ipswich fan, I think. You forget about that United team.
I like McKenna, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I thought they were very impressive. But like God Almighty, Matoma missed an absolute sitter for like, an open goal. So Brighton will be frustrated, I suppose. But it was a great point.
I had them in my last man standing as well, so I was also quite frustrated, as were many who would have picked them at the weekend. Yeah, look, on Everton, like it seems to be like, how do you pick them up? Like this just keep happening to them. Like it's good to see
I
them
think it's
getting
different to the
chances.
Bournemouth game, though. Like I do think it's different
Yeah.
because the Bournemouth game they capitulated, they completely panicked, and they just basically invited them on. Whereas they got beat, like I suppose, like they never really were in control of that game, like they were against Bournemouth. They created chances, and if they were more clinical, maybe they would have got another. It would have been 3-1 up. But like losing to a goal like that, you can't really stop that. That's just that's a moment
But
of class, and
they
it
only look like
wasn't
one.
a capitulation.
Yeah, it only looked like though there was like once they went 2-2 though. It did only look like for that there was one team gonna go on, and we nearly all
That
knew.
team has been down so low that their nerves are going to be shot. They're like, it's like watching United as well.
There's a lot of Everton fans calling for Moisey to come back. So I
Right.
think, if they don't get a win soon, I think Dyche could be out in his arse, in fairness.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of
If I
winnable
was
fixtures
Moyes,
coming
I'd
up.
say fire away. Like when he already took over one sinking ship, he's nearly going to take over another.
Yeah, I know. I think the problems off the field now don't make them attractive for any incoming coach if they do pull the trigger on Dyche.
Yeah,
There's still the ownership, and I think there could be more points deductions as well. So yeah.
The golden goose for them, I suppose, is for Dyche, or even if some noise or whatever came in, would be if they did manage to stay up. It's the fact there's a new stadium there to be going into. But like, yeah, it's as you said though, Lenny, the way it goes, if that keeps happening, I know there's a couple of winnable games coming up, but like in come the next international break, if they haven't picked up points, there will be, I think, question mark to ask of Dyche, even though he has been there and done it with them before. Right, we might go on.
Sorry, a new stadium doesn't play up front for you though. Means fuck all.
Right, we'll move on, and we have kind of our question for this week, which is pretty much in football, in today's football, a rule or something that you'd like to change about the game, whether it be some sort of a rule and something you'd like to implement. So it can be anything at all. It can be serious, it can be loose. And I know, Howard, you love refs and you love rules, so we might just start with you first there. Is there anything that stands out for you that you'd like to get rid of in the game? And something you'd like to implement, and if you want to chat about refs there as well, work away. I know you like a good rant about that.
Well, look, I'm not the biggest fan of this whole pick up the ball, run around place and getting a yellow card. Like I think, you saw Bruno or Harry Maguire getting it at the weekend and the sleeve it. Like they're just picking and choosing when they're gonna. Like there's people doing it the whole time, and then some people get a yellow card and some people don't get a yellow card. I just don't think. I think you either do it fully or you don't do it at all. I think this crack of like booking half the players like in Rice's time, that time is, I just think it's a bit. I'd be getting rid of that rule pretty quickly. Like they're already adding the time on. Like the time is getting added on. Like the watch should be stopped anyway. So if some lad wants to run down the pitch and hold the ball for 3 or 4 minutes, like let that be that and just add it on at the end. Yeah, look, there's a few things about referees in general that before I get on to the other item that I'd like to see, like this ref watch, I know we've talked about it a few times. Like you just like it's actually it stirs up more hatred towards referees than it already did. Like because you have your man Darren McGallagher, like you have him on, and I've never seen him go against the fucking referee's decision. Really, he's always going on like. And they were talking about the Uri and Timber one there, and like Steve Warnock again, another guy. Yeah,
I was going to say I wouldn't just have it just Dermot Gallagher. I'd say the whole
lot of them. God, and like they don't even ask, they don't even challenge them. Like they're just like they're actually afraid to challenge him because they're putting him in a tricky position. But they were like Steve Warnock's like, oh, well, it's the same as the Curtis Jones thing, isn't it? The same as the red card at Curtis Jones, like, and I was like Curtis Jones only snaps your man's leg. Like I know he goes over the ball and like, but he like Bassuma's leg bends like when he hits him. Like, but Steve Warner's like, yeah. So what you're saying, Dermot, is that one wasn't a red card either. Is it the Curtis Jones one? Is it? Dermot's like, yeah, I think so. I think the both were similar. But anyway, look, himself, Mike Dean again, another lad who's just loves being the center of attention. Loves going, like as you said, we were chatting down before we came on. Like he suddenly said now that the threshold for a second yellow card, this new thing now, that there has to be a larger threshold for a second yellow card to get a red card than the first. So that's his idea now. That's a new thing he has going on. But Arsenal and him, Arsene Wenger even and him they just never got on. Like they despise each other. And then I'll have one little mention of Anthony Taylor, our good friend Anthony Taylor. Tails, is it they call him? All right, Tails. Like Mike Dean, like this is half the problem. They all love each other and they all think want to make their statement on the game rather than just like drift off into the background. Let's not see for the whole 90 minutes. Like that's what the referee is supposed to do unless there's a serious tackle or a serious violation or whatever. But yeah, Taylor again, like he does, and as much as I hate Chelsea, like he does have a bit of a hatred there or a biasness against Chelsea because like the game, it's the Bournemouth game, he was cut like he gave so many yellow cards to the Chelsea players. And you can see,
record-breaking number of cards,
yeah,
isn't it?
record breaking, yeah, like it's just you can tell he just doesn't like. There was that incident I sent on to you, the one
Are
your
you trying
man
to say
gets.
that they're saying something nice about Chelsea? Is
I
that what
know
you're
it's
trying
hard to
to say?
believe. There was one where Iman Alonso was running through on goal, and the keeper absolutely takes him out of it with like a flying karate kick, and Taylor's like free out to the keeper, and then like they obviously went back to the VAR and a clear penalty, like you know what I mean. But it was just like just showed you in that snap second that what his head is thinking. He's like, I can't give a penalty to Chelsea, no way. It's like free out. So like there is this unconscious biasness that goes through the referees, and they all like they were going to announce who supports who at the start of the season. Remember that whole thing? Oh, what lads? Yeah, Jared Gillett, I know, was supposed to be a Liverpool fan, and Chris Kavanagh lives in the greater Manchester area, and all this kind of rigmarole. But like to be honest, if they announced that, like all hell would have broke loose anytime anyone's reffing. Like so, they put a link towards from one thing to the other. But anyway, look, I'm ranting enough. Uh, Secondly, the last thing I'd say is you said, Dan, one thing that I'd like to see implemented from a
Mm.
refereeing point of view. And I think if it goes to VAR and there's a blatant dive, red card, person should be gone off the pitch. If it's a blatant, if it like, I'm not talking out to get clipped, but it's not enough and to go down. I'm talking about complete simulation. Should be a straight red card. Get it out of the game. I think people will stop doing it if that's the case. Like. And you have VAR there now to show and say, right, that's right. Because like otherwise, people are just like nothing happens. It's just not a penalty.
But it happened the last time. Like you given a couple of red cards a game because it happens quite a bit.
No, I'm talking about. I'm not. I suppose I'm
Like
not
someone putting
talking.
their foot in, is it? Like putting like
No, I'm talking about like the blatant obvious ones that you're like, God, that's embarrassing that he's even gone over like that or whatever. Like if there's a tiny little clip on someone or if he gets pushed, I probably more going down towards like when they're going for if they're trying to simulate for a penalty, not so much outside the penalty boxes, more trying to cheat and get a penalty. That's what I'd like to see. Just try and put some sort of stomp in the game and get rid of it.
Okay.
Anyway,
fair,
there's my
fair enough.
rant.
And there was a lot of cards given out at the weekend. I think it was the record, wasn't it? In particular,
It's a record number since the start of the season now. Yellow
and
cards.
in particular that Chelsea Bournemouth game, like where I can't remember there being really any
Anyone who
tackles
looks
in
at
it.
Anthony Taylor got a yellow card. Two
Yeah,
managers
yeah.
got yellow cards. 14. It was
But
crazy. I was watching it.
Taylor was put down to the championship last year, and he made an absolute howler, and they brought him back up. It was like you're going down there, you're going doing your punishment, and then
Your
he
punishment
actually,
for a week or two. It was back
yeah, and
up.
he actually showed how bad he was down there, and they're like, all right, better get you up here before you start making more mistakes.
We can't bring you back. Yeah.
Lenny, what about yourself?
Yeah, all I could think of was really a rule that already is in place, but one that it isn't really policed at all, and it's the keeper holding on to the ball. I think the rule is he has 6 seconds to get rid of it, but uh, it's never 6. It's not even
Is this
10.
in their hands, Lenny?
Yeah, in their
Yeah,
hands. Yeah,
when they're holding on to
they,
the caught it.
and like just from even the Leeds game at the weekend, when when you're trying to when the other team have a 1-0 lead, like obviously they want to do everything they can, and yeah, it just drove me up the walls, like and I think 6 is maybe a bit of a push, like, to be fair, but
Did you
you know,
add on the additional time like they do in the Premier League? Did you do that, like, 7-8 minutes job? Is that happen? Is that been brought into the Championship?
a bit, yeah, it is. I know at the start of last season they were going hell for leather with it in the Premier League as well, but they kind of
Yeah.
mellowed it out a bit
They
now.
have mellowed it out, yeah.
But just the whole thing, keeper just holding onto the ball, and like, fair enough to come for a cross and there's a stretcher and they go down, and that takes a bit of time. But the ones where it's just a simple ball over the top and they come out, collect it, and then they catch it and then they do the
Yeah.
dive forward.
But Lenny, like, if it was the other way around and it was the Leeds goalkeeper, like, you would be absolutely delighted. Once he starts, it's like, stay down, hold on to that ball, like, it's terrible, and the fans on the other team are just absolutely gone mad, like.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the fence plenty of times, but just it takes for games, especially in the Championship, you play against some absolute shit teams whose whole game plan is to just slow the game.
Well, sure, Newcastle did that. Newcastle did that last year. Like, they're just.
I thought Arsenal were doing a bit of that, where they're not in the first 20 minutes there.
The dark arts. Yeah, well, you need to settle down. But I was saying to Lenny there, Dan, it's like it's grand when or you hate it when it's against your team. When your own team is doing it, you love it.
Of course, yeah. So you reckon, Lenny, the goalkeepers are taking the piss, basically what you're saying. Put the game down.
Yeah. I think they need to just, I think, well, isn't it, if the ref has to give an indirect free kick if they hold on for it for too long? Like, when have you ever seen that?
Rarely.
I can't think. I think was it Jersey Dudek may have done it about 15 years ago. That's the one thing sticking in my head. Yeah, like, that's how long ago it is. Like,
yeah. And Mossy, what about yourself? Anything that stands out for you that you either like implement?
I'd be similar to Howard in that I'd 100% be supportive of red cards for blatant simulation. Absolutely hate it. It's one, like, I love Bruno Fernandes as a captain, but it's one thing I hate about him. He goes down so easily and rolls around the floor. But if I was to change them, I suppose I'd love if they brought in the ref mic like they do in rugby. You could actually listen to and understand the decision-making process that's going on between VAR and like Anthony Taylor, and maybe there's some sort of
you hear the lingo. All right, tails. All right, this go for a point after tails.
But like sometimes you're like, I think for a fan and stuff, like, you're at a match in a rugby match, and you get the ref, you listen to the ref's conversations and stuff, so you can follow what's going on. Like, you're a fan in the stadium now, and it goes to VAR, like, you're sitting there wondering what's going on. Is it for this? Is it for that? And you don't really get any clarity. They won't play the clip. Sometimes they play the clip back. If it's controversial, they won't play it back. And you're left there, like, I think it's just, it kind of detracts from it. Like, it's just a simple thing. Communication is already there. I don't see why they can't add it and make it available. I think it would add to the game.
I think it adds to the game, but also I think it would make it a bit more straight shooting. I think, like, in regards to, like, if you are a ref and let's say, God forbid, you do have maybe a hatred for Chelsea and Anthony Taylor, like, you can't really, if you're mic'd up, you want to be making the right decisions. Even, there's probably a level of discretion there and, like, a cloak around that whole area when you're not heard. Well, if you are being heard, you need to be really by the book. I think it might put a bit of manners on the refs if that was the case, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but also maybe the hysteria, after some really bad ones last year, in particular, maybe the Diaz one. Like, the fact that it takes, a day or two later for the audio to be released then of what was being said, and everyone's fucking going mental.
They're altering it, like, taking a few days to alter, chop things in and out.
Yeah, but you're right,
but it is pointless to do it, like.
Yeah, it is. Like, you're
2 days later is useless.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry about that, lads, we messed up. Like, but at least if we're listening, and even things like you're giving yellow cards for dissent anymore, because that seems to be a big thing this season. You have audio evidence that everyone can hear what's been said to the ref, and, like, right, okay, he got a yellow card for that. Like, yeah.
Well, I genuinely think it would make the referees do a better job at the reffing. I honestly think it would put them on the straight and narrow to a point. Like.
And I suppose, have you anything else, Master?
No, that's me.
Yeah. So I just a couple of things that came into my head. I think extra time is something that I think could go. I feel that it's with the amount of games that's been played, there's been more horrendously bad 30 minutes to watch of extra times in the last couple of years. So I've been really going straight to pens.
The only thing about that, Dan, is the excitement at the last minute goal. Like, you could have like 3 goals in the last. But it is a bit mental. It is.
15.5 is too much.
Yeah. you can see that again. I suppose I know there's more subs now and there's more rotation. But if you ever look at it, like in so many of them extra times, like fair enough that United maybe in the FA Cup last year with standout has been one exception, the United Liverpool game, but there are so many of them where it's like team players just going through the motions. No one has the energy to attack. So that was one that I think could go. And also, I think we talked before we came on, just around this 30 minutes when a player goes off, that it takes 30 seconds before they can come back on,
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, if you're a player and your team is after getting absolutely mangled, like, look what Kovacic there at the weekend, that scumbag, only even for Wita, for 2 months
that's
there as a
shocking tackle,
result.
wasn't it? Yeah.
But like you know what I mean, like you end up being down a player for 30 seconds, after being
for 2 months as well.
well,
Yeah.
for 2 months.
And one of their key players, like.
Yeah, it's a big blow for them actually. But I just think that's another one where this whole 30 seconds thing, like surely if somebody's back on the sidelines, as
Ready
we
to
talked
go,
about as well, a lot of the time it can just be to waste, I suppose, a few seconds, maybe that being the other side of it. But they were just kind of ones that kind of came up for me. I have this mad notion that we should just get rid of draws as well, but we don't really have the time to go into that one. But that was just another thing as well. Just draws
Very
should be
American.
gone. It's just just go down. It's basically win or lose. There's no draws, and
that really left field now, Dan. You were changing the whole aspects of the game there now.
But that's something for maybe over a few
flip of a
pints,
coin
so
at the end, is it? Just the boys just get in.
Well, yeah,
just because you hate Super Six, John,
Yeah. But anyway, that is our segment there. Thanks, Howard, for your lovely words for the referees. I'm sure they'll be delighted. Okay, so we're going to move on then to the mighty Leeds. I could just rip you, Lenny, here for a few minutes. Leeds lost 4 of their last 6 last year when they looked like they were going to go up. I think the last 6 playoffs that they've been in, they've lost in each of the last 6. So there's a lot of me that feels that there's a real resemblance, what word would I use to describe it? Put it this way, yourself and Rory McIlroy, Leeds and Rory McIlroy would have an awful lot in common when it comes to choking and battling on the big occasion.
And male footballers as well come to mind.
But okay, that's enough banter to Leeds. So what I want to know, Lenny, is I suppose I read up a small bit about because I knew we were having you on. So what I'm seeing is that Fark and the owners, there's a bit of tension there. He wanted players in, they didn't get players in to replace players. There's talk of if he gets a few bad results that there could be potential that he could be getting the boot. So what's going on? There's always a drama with Leeds United. It seems to be no different from what I've read over the start of this season. But what's your feelings on, I suppose, two questions I'll ask you just on Leeds. Obviously, the expectation would be to try and go up, but what's your feeling around the season ahead? And then maybe you might just give us what you think of the other teams that might go be thereabouts come the end of the season in the championship.
Yeah, so as you touched on, Farke kind of made it clear last week in one of his press conferences that he wasn't really happy with the transfers. Obviously, big names went out for big money. Young Archie Gray, Crescencio Somerville, and then on the last week, Jorginho Rutter, the main ones going out. And then, and similar to last year, where they kind of back-ended all their business to the last week of the window. So they're starting the season with an unsettled squad, and I think that was one of the contributing factors to not getting the automatics last year. If they had any bit of a decent start, they would have got top 2. And there was talk of vowing not to have a bad start again, and we're kind of in the same boat. Maybe not as bad a start on the pitch as last season, but the results haven't exactly been blown the league out of the water. So it's pretty much more or less the same as that. Last year, few new players came in just at the last week of the window, so it's hard to judge them when we went straight into an international break. But again, I'd be hoping get top 2. Don't go near those playoffs.
They've won the last 6, is it? I think I read the last 6 you've
lost. Haven't even scored. In it's that bad. They just don't do Wembley at all lately, and there's a bit of frustration on the fan base now with Farke kind of on the side of play as well, where he's kind of a bit like only one option, and like on the weekend when we go up against Burnley, and once they went 1-0 up and they sat back in the low block, he kind of doesn't have any other ideas, and the substitutions are never really inspiring. But again, I think it's a early season or early part of the season. I think, once he kind of gets the squad settled and a bit of a run of games, hopefully we'll just start banging out the wins again. Look, I don't see like a Leicester running away with it like they did last year either. So that's also, I think, helpful as well, that we should be in the mix. I think, so far West Brom have probably looked pretty handy. Curtis Corbyn's doing a good job with them now for the last few years. And Sunderland have had a great start as well. They're only just beaten for the first time now at the weekend. Wayne Rooney finally got his first win with Plymouth, so he did us a favour there. So I think they'll be the two to watch out for this year. And then, with Leeds, I don't think there's any sign of Farke getting sacked now unless, something major goes wrong. So, like it's, yourself with Leeds, it's never straightforward. As you touched on, a touch of the Rory McIlroys, a touch of the Mayo footballers. And I don't know if you've seen this year, their main sponsor now is Red Bull. And Red Bull have also bought in a small stake in the club. So there's a lot of crossover there now with, Red Bull's other sports that they sponsor. And during the summer, the British Grand Prix was on in Silverstone. I think was it July the 9th? Yeah. So there was a few of the Leeds lads over, with this Red Bull partnership, and they presented Max Verstappen a Leeds jersey. And since then, he's had no wins, no poles. He's only had one front row start and only 2 podiums. And before that, I think he was winning nearly every race for the last 2 years. So that's just the Leeds effect.
That's the Leeds effect.
Power of the Leeds effect.
But it's a great way to end that segment there. So that's grand, Lenny. Sure, look, we will have you back on, I'm sure. And this won't be the last trials and tribulations for Leeds, I'm sure, this season. So we'll watch this space. Right, we're going to move on to fantasy football. Fuck me. I don't know about anyone else out there. It was torturous for me this weekend. I'll just give you a quick rundown of my team. And some of the carnage that took place. So I put in João Pedro, thinking I was a smart lad, and put him into my team. Turns out he did not, so he wasn't in the squad. Decided I give Muniz one more week, thinking he's getting chances. He'll surely get one. He'll score maybe if he gets one. Fulham at home, and he was on the bench, and Jimenez, who started ahead of him, scored. That wasn't good. Isaac got a bloody nose, couldn't come on for the second half. Eze is a penalty taker at Palace, but Mateta pushed him away and took the ball.
Was that what happened? He just pushed him away.
Basically, Glasner kind of came out and said that they're both penalty takers, depending on who's in the mood. But pretty much, Mateta would gobble Eze up for breakfast. So pretty much, he just took the ball. So. And then Liverpool blanked. One of them missing Guardiola as well. Came on for 45 random minutes. So
get the violin out, Dan. Get the violin out, poor Dan. Oh God.
But I'm doing this. I'm giving my experience because I know that there's so many more out there that had a horrendous weekend, like myself. I wasn't the only one. But the main man Haaland on target again with a few goals. So how did you get on? Lads? I'm gonna look up the table here now.
I had 45 points or something. So I had the same João Pedro situation you had, Dan. So I took Saka and I took Isaac out, and I got Salah and João Pedro in. And I must say, I put the curse on Salah, obviously, because anytime I've had Salah, and it's the same thing happened at the end of last season, he's done nothing for me. So I'm wondering whether I'm a fool to. So we'll see now. But like obviously Arsenal City next week, so I'll keep probably Saka away for now. But look, I think a lot of people had bad weeks by the sounds of it. That's the only saving grace. Like,
what would you, Massey?
Lads, it was one of my best weeks. I got 66 points.
Did you?
Went from
United. You probably had a few United players. That was it.
I have a single United player in my team, lads.
Do you know?
66, Massey. Looking at here.
Jeez, that's one of the highest I've heard of.
I'm creeping back up there. Dan was, I think, 2 or 3 places ahead of me. I was down at 75th, so I've started to climb the table.
Yeah, the no Haaland is really.
Who did the deed for you, Massey? Who was the shining light?
I had Ray in goal, so that was good.
Oh, yeah.
I had Emily Smith-Rowe for an assist. I had Saka for an assist. Haaland, obviously, and
Saliba.
Saliba, yeah, a solid 6 from Saliba. So yeah, there was basically they weren't too bad. Luis did nothing for me. David Luis, or sorry, Luis for Liverpool.
Yeah, Luis. Yeah,
Luis
Not
Diaz.
yeah,
David
Luis
Luis,
Diaz.
curly haired Bob.
yeah. It's fair tight
So
between
yeah, they
us
solid
actually.
enough week. Yeah, solid enough week. So
Howard, you're 9 ahead of me, and you're
nine positions or points?
It's points, yeah. But it's
Right.
but it's very tight, and just actually on people who are doing well, I might as well mention them. So after each Paddy Carney is still head of our table, and it was a big week actually for KCFC there. Anthony McKnight, who got 69 points. Let me have a little look here now and see. That's a fair
I think
whack
that was
now
the
at the end of
highest
the
this
week.
week in the group.
Yeah, looking at there now. He had Rashford, interesting enough. Onana and goals, 13 points.
Oh
For
no! Well, like that's
Onana.
not going to come good over the period of the season. Like so, like you can rule that lad out straight away. Like
Well, Howard, he's second at second. He's second at the moment.
who getting on it? That seems like a crazy thing to do.
Smith Rowe, Saliba, yeah. So look, 69 was a fair return, and Kevin Monaghan there, Bruno Stones Trace is in third, but it's tightened up there because a few of the lads, I actually thinking there's a few lads that used a wild card there, but I think for a lot of people who used a wild card, they made their team probably worse in the short term, as in they had a poor week because most of put in Salah, like yourself, Howard. There are a lot of people who use a wild card.
When are you doing the wild card then?
Do you know what? Interesting enough, if you had asked me that when I had 10 points Saturday night, that's what I was sitting on after the game Saturday 10. And I was sitting there going, I really need to make the wild card. And then a Sunday went by and I ended up on 30. And then I sat there going, yeah, I could make one or two changes, take a couple of minus points, and let's see how we go. Or do I just go on wild carded, or do I wait? So I'm actually, as I've sat and I think that's the best thing you can do fantasy football is sometimes just sit there and
I think you need to wait a week or two. Like I think you got to give it a period of decline rather than one bad week people like pull the plug and then they regret it.
Pretty much what it comes down to for me is if I use my wild card this week, I remember how good Saliba was against Haaland last season, and I'm kind of like, if I put Haaland in or do I wait a week? But Haaland could go and fucking bang in a hat trick against Arsenal now with the round.
You would know, like
But so I'm indecisive.
I can't see them. I can't see them conceding too many goals. Like they've conceded 3 goals away from home this season or this year, calendar year. Like so.
Yeah.
In fairness, typically these are the games where Haaland does nothing. Like.
Yeah.
There is that thing, and Jack doesn't like to hear it, but like he is a bit more of a flat track bully, Alan. When you look at last season, well, Lenny, are you doing fantasy football? Are you in this?
Yeah, I'm propping up the very bottom of the league.
Yeah. At least he made an appearance anyway. That's good.
Yeah, I had a good week this week though. I got 58 now, but I think Watkins and Mateta did well for me, and Leaf Davis for Ipswich as well. I think got a few points, but yeah, I had a stinker of a start. I picked like Walker and stuff in the first week, and he was still on his holidays on the beach.
You actually are bottom. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So you are bottom. Could I ask you? Your name is called Change Name, so obviously you had a name that they wouldn't allow you to use. What can you tell us what it was?
Yeah, it was Karpaki Bonner. You know, and obviously the administrators with I think Budweiser is the official beer of the Premier League didn't like me referencing another fine beer that I think we all may have drank throughout our
years.
Is
that still being sold?
Yeah, I think it's no longer 4 for 5 now with the old government. I think it's
rocket fuel, that stuff, isn't it? Rocket fuel.
Oh, it was great stuff.
Yeah.
Got me through my degree anyway.
Right, Lenny. Well, you've got a bit of work to do there. Have you used your wild card yet, Lenny? No.
No, not yet. No, I might now maybe give another week and see. Let the league settle a bit. But I'm in bother now, so I need to just like my objective for the year already is just like don't come last. Like.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'll give you a small bit of advice. You don't have Haaland or Salah, so you might just want to have a think with yourself of at least putting one of them in.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but see,
I don't really want to do it.
You're just trying to be different, aren't you?
That's the thing. Like everyone picks them, and then it's all about having the differentials. So
coming last,
give in.
So anyway, that is fantasy football, and it'll be another interesting week to see who people captain. Will they keep Haaland as captain in Arsenal, or will they go for, as you said, Lenny, a differential?
That's a good question. Yeah, who's Liverpool playing then?
Liverpool are home to Bournemouth. They're home to Bournemouth.
All right. So if you had Salah, you probably captain him ahead of Haaland.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing to factor in is you referenced earlier on their Champions League starting this week, so that is going to impact,
Yeah,
in
exactly,
particular,
yeah.
a lot of the bigger clubs with regards to rotation. So time will tell now. And finally, we have Super Six. So for anyone out there who listens to us, you need to get your selection in. There is a Champions League. It's the first week. There's a Champions League week this week, so please get your selections in before the start of games. Let me tell you now when. Not sure is the time. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Tuesday, 8 p.m. So is the games for Super Six. So get your selections in. A lot of people do get tendency to get caught out once the
Yeah.
midweek games kind of start. So and I'm just on the Super Six, Howard, whatever you were doing, man, you were cooking there at the weekend anyway. You had
Yeah,
16
I
points.
had a great round. I'm just checking it out here now as well. I had a great round. It was yeah, I had the Arsenal game. I predicted that right, the 1-0. And I had the
Newcastle. Look at it here.
Newcastle
Yeah.
2-1. Now that was lucky because Newcastle literally came back last minute, but yeah, 16 points in that round. So I'm up I'm climbing up the leaderboard.
Yeah,
But look, it's all guesswork this stuff.
yeah, I actually first that Newcastle result was my first result that I've got
Well, you
right.
got it.
Yeah. So I thankfully had some sort of a return, but we have to give a big shout out to Owen Costello. I was actually out at a wedding with him there at the weekend. Now, he didn't mention that he was going well in the old football fanatics Super Six, but he is top of our league with 54 points,
Yeah,
going
it's going well.
fierce well. So he is the man to beat at the moment. And in regards to this month, Howard, you have the most points so far this month as well. You're
Do I?
dipping along there nicely, yeah. You're 16 there. So
Mystic
um
Meg.
okay. So we're gonna look at quickly, we're gonna look at the games for this week. So we'll start with you, Mossy. So we have Milan and Liverpool and Madrid and Stuttgart. What are you going for?
I said Liverpool 2-1 in Milan, which is controversial because I know they're away, but that Milan they've only had an okay start in the league in the Serie A. And then Madrid, I've gone for them to win 3-1. It's a great opportunity, delighted for Stuttgart. They had a fantastic season last year, coming from relegation fighting the year before
Yeah.
to become second in the league. But it's a big jump, and they lost 2, 3 important players this year, went to Dortmund and whatnot. So I think they're a little bit depleted. They're not quite at the same level, so I'd expect Madrid to have a comfortable enough win.
Okay. And Lenny, Munich at home against Dynamo Zagreb and City at home to Inter Milan.
Yeah, I'd say 4-0 to Munich. A bit of a rout there. And City, I think City, Milan, or Inter could
Enter,
be
yeah.
a decent game. It's hard to know with this new format. It's kind of games aren't as important in the group so far. One loss won't kill you as much. But yeah, I think I'll go 2-2 for that one.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Haaland
City.
to do his ACL, I'd say. Would you? Maybe.
It'd be
Uh,
interesting. So, well, he again with the as you mentioned about how important it was to Arsenal to make changes, but you imagine City as well will be looking at Sunday with their
Yeah,
eye in
with
that
Keane.
game, so they're
Yeah,
probably
but they're
pretty
home.
dependent.
You see, City are home in the Champions League and they're home
Yeah,
as well. So it's unfortunate the way it fell.
And Howard, and finally, my good friend Celtic at
Yeah,
home against Slovan Bratislava
yeah.
and PSG at home to Girona.
I have a 1-1 in the Celtic game. I'm sure it'll be a classic. And then the PSG game. Who were they playing again? Girona. Yeah,
Girona,
yeah. The
yeah.
2-0,
Girona, yeah.
2-0. I PSG 2-0. Yeah. I think Girona got hockey there with by Barca there.
They lost a few
And
players as well, didn't they?
yeah. Savinho and the boys. The Man City B team.
Okay, so that is our Super Six. So again, make sure you get your selections in before 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Anything else, gentlemen, before we finish up? You want to slag deck off? Feel free.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
St.
know
Uh,
it's
Muffins
over
is
here.
coming.
yeah.
It's coming, lads. It's
Apparently
coming.
they've got relegated. Did you not hear the news there over the last hour? It's just come true.
1,000 point deduction.
Yeah, look, I'm sure. Look, when Deck's back, we'll break it all down. But it's going to be an interesting few weeks to see what nuggets come out of the case because it seems to be all closed up at the moment. You put something interesting into the group, Dan, with a few bits and pieces. I saw our friend Miguel Delaney, who I met there recently, out in town. He's wrote
Your
a
buddy.
he's wrote a good piece on the in the Independent. that people should really give a breakdown of the whole
Yeah.
setup, like, you know what I mean. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out, really, from a
Yeah.
journalistic point of view, you know.
Yeah, it is a pity. I know it's in their own rules and process, but it is a pity that it isn't like
It's not
open.
like live
It's not like
streamed.
what's
It's
he was
not
it,
like
Johnny?
OJ, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. You know the Johnny Depp that was on there. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
just it was like you could live stream it on YouTube. It's a pity
Yeah.
that they can't. But like it seems to be that all options from what was coming out today anyway, just seems to be that all options are on the table in regards to what may or may not happen. But yeah, it'll be interesting for our good friend Declan what he hears of Lord Panic there, and hopefully he won't be too panicked and he'll be back with us next week on the pod. So, gentlemen, there's nothing else. We will leave it there. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please, again, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and at us on Instagram and Spotify and all that jazz. And good week, and we will talk to you all next week.
Cheers, Dan. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, Dan.
Look.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Look.